Hey everybody, we're back at the garage, Rockin' Rivera's garage, and I have good news and bad news. Good news is, still not getting easier. The headers are on, and they look fan-freaking-tastic. These look great. Look so much better than just rust or the stock. I wish I could have found the cast that these came in, but then I found the black. And it looks a lot better. It looks a lot better than... I wish I could have gone cast, but I couldn't find the correct cast-looking paint. And then I found it in the shop, buried behind all the other cans of paint, full. And it was $14. And I was like, no, I'm not paying that. I'll pay $8. Because some things, you can go cheap, and they don't look shit. Some things, like doing header wrap yourself, it doesn't look that shit. See? Doesn't look that bad. You can barely tell that I've never done this before. Never done hair wrap before, ever. You can tell when you get up on it and start touching it, because it's a little bit baggy in some areas, like here. A little bit baggy. But hey, I wrapped them with the best I could using the last material. There's nothing left, and I still have to wrap the side pipes. Speaking of which, these side pipes are coming off, so I can get them fixed, because see that little black line right there? That little black line means that it's an exhaust leak, which is filling into the car and choking me to death. So I'm going to get that fixed. And then also, the free water pump I got is made for a serpentine belt. If you don't know what a serpentine belt is, look it up, or just listen to me right now. Serpentine belt, unlike the normal V belts that are on this, you have multiple belts for multiple things. Now, on a serpentine belt, it's a single belt that runs everything. So it loops around like this and does crazy stunts and all that. Now, the problem is that makes the water pump turn the opposite way in some cases, depending on which engine you got. I have the 350 from the 80s, before they put serpentine belt in. Which means this spins clockwise with the engine. This spins perfectly clockwise with the engine. Now, the water pump I had, this spins counterclockwise with the engine, going the opposite way, because it's got a serpentine belt that pulls it the other way, because it's going underneath. So, always check your shit before you say, yes, I'll take that free part, or yes, I'll take that free thing, because it might bite you in the ass when you finally realize it. So I can't use this pump now unless I take it apart and change the impeller. So I found this on Facebook for $75 from the used section. And to prove that it was cheap, he tore the sticker off. Now I'm not mad about that because I already saw what it was. It was $175 new. So $75 for this, I'll take that all day long. He probably only paid $50 for it, so I'll let him have that. But this is going to look a lot better than the rusty, crummy water pump that's on there right now. And I don't have to change much from what I was originally going to do, which was put a heater line, put the heater plug in here, same place, and my water hose is going to come out in the same exact spot, and bolts are all the same, and everything all the same. The difference is I can also put a heater port up here. So I can put a heater port up here like it is right now. That's where it is right now, at the top, which I can do with that angle piece. And that'll look just like it did before, except it'll be aluminum, and I'm going to get cleared, so it's nice. But then I got this piece, which is the thermostat housing, which is going to go in there, and you already saw it in the last few videos. But the main thing is, I got the correct water pump, because it's supposed to be clockwise. The water pump's supposed to be clockwise for a V-belt setup. If it's not going to push coolant properly. It's not going to push coolant through properly. Plus, it's also a high-flow pump, so it's going to push a lot more coolant faster. It's going to be like pushing, it's just going to push more coolant faster, which means it'll cool down a bit faster. Which is good, because I only have one fan on there, and it does diddly squat. Which is why I'm also looking into getting a better cooling system. I can't do anything with the radiator. It's already a 3-core aluminum radiator, so I can't do anything there. What I can do is increase the capacity per gallon of the fuel pump, or the water pump, so it pushes more water faster. therefore cooling faster. The other thing I can do is I can put a mechanical fan back on the pump, which is going to be a little bit tricky because I have to get the right size bolts, because it's very close. It's very close when I put the... Basically, when I had the old fan on there, which was mechanical, it sat right about here. So there was no meeting the radiator. So I need to get that back. I'm going to put a fan right here so it doesn't hit this. I'm going to tie his wires up better. So I can have this inside the shroud, and then on the outside, and then where the shroud meets here, is got a mechanical fan. So when it's... The reason why people put multiple fans on is because when it's idling, the electric fan is doing a certain amount, but the mechanical fan is following the RPMs of the engine. So when you're driving down the road, all the air is being forced into the radiator, cooling the car down. Now, if you don't have a fan strong enough to do it when it's sitting there, and there's no airflow. There's no airflow then through the radiator because it's not moving. So it's just relying on the fans. So if I put two fans in here, one fan here, which already does a good deal, it already helps a lot of the cooling, but doesn't do anything when I'm stuck in traffic. When you're stationary, that fan's not doing enough, in this case. So what I gotta do is I gotta wind up putting the old mechanical fan back on. I'm gonna get it cleaned up, painted, and everything. And I'm gonna cut the spacer in half because it has a 1-inch spacer on it, so it's huge. So it sticks out too far and hits the other fan. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make that shorter. I'm gonna make it into a 1/2-inch spacer. And that should fix the other cooling issue, as well as getting a radiator shroud, because then it'll channel all the cold air over the engine, cooling it down even faster. So those three things, well, the water pump, the fan, or the mechanical fan, and the radiator shroud are going to cool us down a lot faster. And keep it cool when I'm driving, because I did the PA, the Superfly cruise to PA back roads only. I was overheating the whole way. I was overheating a lot of it, but once we got on the highway, because I had gotten lost with my buddy, and we were riding together, we got lost and we head to a restaurant, the same exact restaurant as the one we were supposed to go to, but it was north instead of south. And then we wound up getting a message over we use Zellos to contact each other, or to keep track of each other. It's like a walkie-talkie app. We heard over the Zello chat. We got Zello up and running finally, and we got word over the channel that there was a group of guys heading down to the restaurant on the Borough, PA. So I looked up the restaurant and I wound up finding out where it was, and I just started blasting down the highway. I just started going like 65, 70 miles an hour down the highway. It was basically empty. I don't know why it was so empty. And I hit 2 tolls, so that sucked, but I made it all the way back down there and made it. And the most amazing thing was, somehow, through utter luck, when everyone was getting out of their cars, I pulled in right behind them. Like nothing had ever happened, and everyone wondered where the hell I went. And I was like, I was right behind you guys the whole time, even though I got lost for like an hour. But I caught up with them, because this thing cooled down so much that I was able to get up to speed and keep it on trucking. But that's the problem with this, is it likes high speed. Well, it doesn't like high speed, but it doesn't like slow speeds. It doesn't like going slow. It's a muscle car. It's temperamental muscle car. So with those cooling added, with the new water pump, the high flow water pump, because this is just a bog standard water pump. Bog standard water pump, not pushing enough in, not getting enough out. Swap that out for the high flow one. With the header wrap, it's also going to cool it down more because the heat won't be radiating into the engine. It won't be going everywhere. Now it'll just stay in the headers where it belongs and go out the exhaust. Because it's definitely going to be producing more heat with all this horsepower. All this horsepower right here. But everything should work out good. The engine's almost ready to go. I just got to hook the choke linkage up, like I said before in the last video, because the linkage was kind of crappy, because every time you'd rev this, it would wind up hitting the choke linkage that came this way. So I'm going to wind up switching the holes from here to here. It's going to give it a little bit more resistance pulling up. It's going to give it a little bit more resistance when I pull up on it. But I'm going to move this. I'm going to move some stuff around in here. I'm still going to use this as my secondary choke linkage for the linkage, but the other one should come off right here. and that'll run perfectly. And that should run fine. And then that'll run better than ever. And I got clips for it now, so that's fine. Now, there's one thing that was bothering me. Somebody offered an LS engine to me for $400. I won't say his name. I won't give any information unless people ask. Now, I looked up what it's going to take to make it look like a classic engine again. Like, I'm talking the Corvette, old fuel-y, the 63 fuel-y intake. It's original fuel-y intake, but it's done for LS engines, like the LS 1, 2, and 3. It won't fit on the, from what I understand, it won't fit on newer LS engines unless you adapt it. You have to get the adapter plates that go in between. They're like this thick. And they adapt it so that when it can wind up fitting on the top of the heads for an LS 4, 5, and 6. Or whatever the newer LS is after 3. Now, that was $3,000. No. I'm not doing it. But I found another one for $1,000, which was just looked like a standard single carb. That one I might do if I do an LS engine. But the total cost, not including the motor, was over $2,700 to do the big block valve covers, big block exhaust manifolds, a distributor in the back that has coils that run through the top of the distributor all the way down and in underneath to any location you want. You can move the coil packs for the LS engine wherever you want. And the single carb look-alike, the header, the exhaust manifolds, the valve covers off a big block like a 396 or a 454, and that doesn't even include the front accessories. That's just the engine already comes with everything for it other than cast iron headers, manifolds, and the wiring harness. So all I have to do is get the wiring harness, and then I'd spend $2,700, a little bit over that, before tax. Wonderful thing, tax. Fucks you over in the end. Anyway, so I'd be in at about $3,500 versus the engine I already have, which came with the car. That's a hard decision because the LS engine is going to run faster. It's going to run faster. It's going to run better, and it's going to be more efficient. It's going to be more efficient. But it will also bolt to 7R4. But I have to get all the wires, the computers, everything I need to run that. And then I have to wire the whole thing with its own standalone ECU. Because it won't run off it has to have a standalone ECU or else it won't work. I can't just wire it into the stock fuse box, and I have to redo everything under the hood. Motor mounts, I have to move them forward because the LS is bigger. Even though it's a 5.3, it's still bigger. It's bigger in width, it's bigger in length, because it's bigger than the 350 because it's cast differently. And it's a newer engine, so it's got thicker walls. It's just gonna be a mess if I try and put it in. Would it be worth it in the end? Yes. Would it be an absolute nightmare financially? Yes. Let's look at it like this. I have too much money in this car already. I have too much money. But I'm chasing perfection for what I can achieve, for the best that I can do. I'm trying to achieve a Hot Wheels perfection. If Hot Wheels was to make the perfect muscle car. If Hot Wheels was to make this car, what would it look like? What would it run? How would it do back in the 70s? With GM parts permitting. Even though it's the wrong year engine. And the wrong year headers and all that other stuff. But anyway, so basically, we're going to upgrade the cooling system in a few parts. I have most of the parts already, other than I think I need to get the tap for the water pump. Or the plug, or whatever it takes to run the coolant line to the heater. And get the brackets cleaned up on the engine, get everything cleaned up in powder coat, whatever I need, and then it should be able to drive. It should be able to drive out of here soon. And then I just need to get... I'm debating on getting a mechanical linkage for this. Because cable linkage will only pull. So I have to hook it onto here and pull the whole carbs back. Which actually might not be a bad idea because I can use that hole. I can use that hole and just pull it back from there. Actually, that might work. That just solved my problem. Just solved my problem live. Hey, I solved it. I solved it. Hey, I'm so good. I'm not an engineer. I don't engineer shit. I build it. So anyway, this is the car, and it's getting stuff done. The headers are done. So hopefully my one guy will be able to come over soon, and we'll pick up these headers, or the exhaust manifolds. As you can tell, it's very cold, and I'm slowing down. I'm not speaking correctly. So we're going to take the side pipes out. Or the side pipes are already out. Both of them are already out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those over to the shop. We're going to wind up getting them cleaned up. Do whatever we need to do to them to get them to look great. And then after they're welded and ready to go back on the car, put them back on the car. And I'm going to modify the brackets so they look a bit cleaner underneath there for the side pipe covers. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix the side pipe covers, get those ready to be painted. They're going to be painted the metallic silver with black and red on them, so it matches the red line style. And that should look good. And then it's going to go straight to paint. And it's going to get all this bodywork fixed that was done. It was done poorly when I got the car, but I didn't know it. So there's paint cracks, there's paint chips everywhere because we didn't know the bodywork was bad. We didn't know how long it had been done ago. So we just reprimed over everything and we didn't start from scratch again. I hope I don't have to again. I hope I can just scuff it up. I hope I can just scuff it up and do whatever I need to paint, whatever needs primed to prime it, and do it right. I want to do it right, but I don't want to be in debt $1 million, obviously. But whatever it takes, it takes. I want to do this right for the Hot Wheels Legends store. Because to me, this isn't a hobby. This is therapy. This is better therapy than going... This is like somebody's therapy going to the gym or boxing or playing video games. This is my therapy. This is my true therapy, is doing this. I may get mad. I may get cussed a little bit. I may cuss a little bit, but you know what? It's still better therapy than talking to somebody. Because literally, last night when I was here till 8 o'clock. I was from 5 to 8. 3 hours for 2 headers. Fighting this header specifically because the back bolts wouldn't go in. So I had to pull all the bolts back out, and I'm cussing and frustrated. And you know what? I don't give the fuck up. Because I know if I give the fuck up, I'm letting all the naysayers right. They're all right then. So, I'm going to get the power steering reattached. Get everything tightened up. Because this is the power steering bracket goes right here. You need to reattach that, and then I can drive the car again once the linkage is fixed. So that's the plan. Is just I'm done giving up. I'm done giving up. This is my therapy. This is not just some hobby where I can blow money on this rather than drugs. No, this is my therapy. And any of you think this is a stupid therapy, you don't know what I've been through throughout life. Okay, you don't know why this is therapy to me. So don't try. If you already know why this is therapy to me, good for you. You earn a cookie. I don't have a cookie, but you earn a cookie. So go get one from the cookie jar or the grocery store or something, because you earned a cookie. If you understand why this is therapy to me. If you've seen Top Gear, the UK Top Gear, they have a segment about a group of disabled army veterans, military veterans, that go to try to win a race called the Dakar. If you don't know what the Dakar is, look it up. It's one of the most grueling desert rallies in the world. It's probably the most grueling desert rally in the world. Some people struggle to finish it with all limbs working. And some of them had up to 3 limbs blown off or lost. One of them had only one functioning arm and was driving the car. And they actually completed the race. What Richard Hammond said was, these are men in action. They are used to facing challenges. They're used to battling struggles. But they can't do that anymore because they're not in the military. They can't do what they used to do because of losing their limbs. But that doesn't change who they are. So they all joined together and they bought a rally car and they started racing it. And they actually started doing good. And they actually completed the Dakar, despite the loss of limbs, despite everything. If you don't know about that clip, please watch it. I think if you put in YouTube Top Gear disabled vets, there'll probably be the mobility scooters race, and there'll probably be the Army vets that race in the Dakar. And trust me, to watch them do what they do, it's very similar to what I'm doing right now. No, I have all my limbs working, but it's the same therapy. It's going through struggle and getting past them. That's the therapy that I do. This car is a struggle, but it's also a joy. It's more than just a project. It's part of me. If you don't get it now, stop watching. Go home. Go home and wonder. And don't ever come back on this channel again if you don't think anything positive about it. Well, on that note, I still haven't gotten the word back from Danny from Counting Cars about if he even got the letter, so I'm just going to assume it never arrived. I got a confirmation that it didn't arrive, so I guess it never showed up, so. Well, I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna get started putting this back together, or at least getting some of the stuff back on that I can. Thank you for watching. See ya.